You're watching A News. I'm Bakhtiar Sanowan. Let's see the top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump says that the F-15 crew member downed in Iran has been rescued. Iran warns of hell across region if U.S. and Israel escalation continues. And NASA says Artemis 2 crew now closer to the moon than Earth. U.S. President Donald Trump says a second American airman has been rescued after being stranded behind enemy lines in Iran. U.S. forces carried out a large-scale rescue operation in mountainous terrain in Iran, deploying dozens of aircraft to recover the crew member. The airman had been tracked before the extraction and sustained injuries, but is expected to recover. The rescue follows the downing of an F-15 by Iranian air defenses, with the first crew member recovered a day earlier. Donald Trump said both pilots were rescued in separate operations without U.S. casualties. Tensions are escalating in the Iran conflict as U.S. President Donald Trump gives Tehran 48 hours to reach a deal of the Strait of Hormuz, while Iran warns of retaliation, regional escalation, and risks to its nuclear facilities.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran has 48 hours to reach a deal on opening the Strait of Hormuz, warning that time is running out. The ultimatum comes as Israel is considering strikes on Iran's energy infrastructure, pending U.S. approval. Iran has responded with warnings of devastating and continuous retaliation, as its Revolutionary Guards say they have already carried out missile and drone strikes on U.S. and Israeli-linked targets across the region. They claim strikes on military positions in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE, as well as targets inside Israel. Iran's military also issued a direct warning over further escalation.
Do not forget, if escalation continues, the entire region will turn into hell for you.
Iran has also warned of risks linked to strikes on its nuclear sites. In a letter to the United Nations, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says repeated attacks, including near the Bushehr power plant and at sites such as Natanz, could trigger a radiological incident. He calls the proximity of strikes to active nuclear infrastructure an intolerable escalation, with potential humanitarian and environmental consequences across the region, including the Persian Gulf. Araghchi adds that targeting areas near nuclear facilities violates international law and UN and IAEA safeguards, and could expose civilians to grave danger.
Israel has carried out airstrikes on Iran's petrochemical plants. The operation followed the destruction of part of Iran's steel production capacity. 5 people were reported injured in the strikes.
I promised you that we would continue to crush the terrorist regime in Tehran, and that is exactly what we are doing. After we destroyed 70% of their steel production capacity, which serves as raw material for their weapons, today we struck the petrochemical plants. We will continue to crush them, just as I promised. May there be joyful days ahead.
Yemen's Houthi group has announced a long-range attack on Israel. The operation was carried out alongside Iranian and Hezbollah forces. A Houthi spokesman said the mission successfully achieved its objectives.
Carried out the 5th military operation using a cluster ballistic missile and a number of drones targeting Lod Airport in the Jaffa area, as well as vital and military targets belonging to the Israeli enemy in southern occupied Palestine. This operation was carried out jointly with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian Army, and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and successfully achieved its objectives by the grace of God. The Yemeni Houthi armed forces salute the great Yemeni people, the people of faith and wisdom, for their massive turnout in Sana'a and across the provinces, districts, and villages in rejection of the Zionist plan and in confronting what the enemy seeks to impose as a new equation of domination over our Ummah, nation.
And in news from Gaza, power cuts have become a daily reality, with electricity available only intermittently. Many civilians are struggling to carry out even the most basic tasks. Water systems and other key infrastructure are under strain, and it's becoming harder to keep essential services running.
Long power cuts in Gaza are putting serious pressure on essential services. Residents now have limited access to water, healthcare and sanitation, making an already fragile humanitarian situation even worse. Electricity cuts have become part of daily life. With power available only at certain times, many people are struggling to manage even basic needs.
I carry water in small containers. We don't have a large water tank, not even 500 litres, so we have to keep going back and forth, and water is not always available. Sometimes my son returns without being able to fill it.
The consequences are widespread, affecting everything from water supply systems to critical infrastructure. As outages persist, maintaining essential services is becoming increasingly unsustainable. This ongoing energy crisis has also had a severe impact on critical hospitals, which rely heavily on generators to continue operating.
If the generators stop, it will be a catastrophe and a real danger to everyone in the hospital, especially premature babies, dialysis patients. We are sounding the alarm that hospitals will stop functioning if fuel and oil are not allowed in as soon as possible.
International humanitarian organisations say essential services in Gaza could collapse if electricity supplies continue to be disrupted. According to Gaza's municipality, around 75 water wells depend on electricity and could shut down, making conditions even harder for displaced families whose homes have been destroyed.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has concluded a two-day visit to Gulf countries. The trip took place amid rising regional tensions and concerns over energy security. Talks focused on strengthening cooperation and maintaining stability.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni finished a two-day visit to Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates on April 4th. This was the first visit by a European Union leader to the region since the US-Israeli war with Iran began. It comes as concerns grow in Italy over energy security. Officials say the aim of the trip was to show support for the three countries and strengthen cooperation in energy. Meloni said Italy does not want to be just an observer. She said the goal is to help solve problems and protect national interests.
Our aim was not and is not simply to bear witness. It was and is to lend a hand in facing problems and thus better defend Italy's national interests. Because when instability grows in the Gulf, it is not only the international balance of power that is affected. Energy prices, business costs, employment, and ultimately households' purchasing power are all affected.
On the 3rd of April, she met Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah. They discussed defense support and possible diplomatic solutions. On the 4th of April, she met the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Doha. They talked about energy cooperation.
Hungary could be on the verge of a major political shift as Prime Minister Viktor Orban faces a strong challenge from former ally Peter Magyar ahead of the April 12th election. Polls show Magyar in the lead, pointing to potential changes in the country's politics and its relationship with the EU.
Hungary is heading to a crucial election on April 12th, where Prime Minister Viktor Orban, Europe's longest-serving leader, could lose power after 16 years in office. Opinion polls suggest the race is tight, with Orban's former ally, Peter Magyar, leading a strong challenge. Orban has dominated Hungarian politics since 2010, promoting what he calls illiberal Christian democracy and positioning himself as a defender of traditional family values against Western liberalism. His governments have centralized power, limited independent media, and clashed repeatedly with the European Union over migration, LGBTQ+ rights, and financial support for Ukraine. Orban has also maintained close ties with Moscow, blocking EU funding for Kyiv and continuing energy deals with Russia. Peter Magyar, 45, launched his centre-right teaser party in 2024 and quickly gained popularity. especially among younger and urban voters. His campaign appeals to Hungarians frustrated by economic stagnation, rising inflation and the influence of oligarchs close to Orbán. Magyar has promised stronger anti-corruption measures, more transparent public procurement, judicial independence and a two-term limit for prime ministers. He also aims for a more constructive relationship with the EU while keeping Hungary pragmatic on Russia and migration issues. Political analysts warn that a Magyar victory could signal a shift toward a more pro-European Hungary and potentially unlock billions of euros in frozen EU funds. Yet Orbán's entrenched support in rural areas and his role as a key figure in Europe's far-right movement mean the election remains highly competitive. The outcome will be closely watched beyond Hungary, as the country has played an outsized role in European politics despite its small size, influencing debates over EU unity, far-right movements and relations with Russia.
Spain's Maritime Rescue Service saved 47 migrants off the coast of Gran Canaria. According to the Red Cross, the group of 44 men and 3 women was found about 27 miles south of the island in a canoe. The migrants were taken to the port of Arquinequin, where Red Cross personnel provided medical assistance. One person was taken to hospital due to the severity of his condition. Pope Leo XIV led the world's Catholics into Easter at a Saturday night vigil mass in St. Peter's Basilica, urging people not to feel numbed by the scope of the conflicts raging across the world, but to work for peace. Leo XIV, who has emerged as an outspoken critic of the Iran war, said that mistrust and fear have been allowed to, quote, sever the bonds between us through war, injustice and the isolation of peoples and nations. He did not mention any specific conflicts during the service, at which he also baptized 10 adult converts to Catholicism. The Pope will conclude his Easter celebrations with a Mass in St. Peter's Square and will deliver a special blessing and message, which is usually a time when he makes a major international appeal.
Even today, there are tombs to be opened, and often the stones sealing them are so heavy and so closely guarded that they seem immovable. Some weigh heavily on the human heart, such as mistrust, fear, selfishness, and resentment. Others, stemming from those inner ones, sever the bonds between us through war, injustice, and the isolation of peoples and nations. Let us not allow ourselves to be paralyzed.
Astronauts aboard NASA's Artemis II mission are entering a key phase of their journey, now nearer to the Moon than Earth ahead of a planned lunar flyby.
Artemis II crew is now closer to the Moon than to Earth, as the mission prepares for a lunar flyby on Monday, says NASA.
Reed, Victor, Christina and Jeremy are now closer to the Moon than they are to Earth.
Please report found no.
Officials say the Orion spacecraft is operating normally, with no major issues reported during the journey.
Comparisons to Artemis 1. I'm pleased to report that the Orion spacecraft, it's in very good health, continues to operate nominally on its way to the Moon, so there's no major anomalies that we're working at this time.
So they took this image yesterday. On the far left, you can see features of the Moon that have never been seen by human eyes. Until yesterday, only robotic imagers have seen this region of the Moon.
The mission will also offer a rare view of a solar eclipse from deep space.
The sun will pass behind the moon from their perspective, creating a solar eclipse, and then they'll see sunrise where the sun pops out the other side of the moon.
NASA says Artemis II is a key step toward establishing a long-term human presence on the Moon. Artemis II Ascent Flight Director Judd Freeling said he hopes the mission will make it possible for humans to live and work on the Moon on a regular basis within the next 50 years.
Now let's take a look at the major stories from the region. The Civil Contract Party has nominated Nikol Pashinyan as its candidate for Prime Minister following unanimous support at an extraordinary party congress. The agenda of the 8th Extraordinary Congress includes 3 key issues to be decided by open vote: approving the party's electoral list for the June 2026 parliamentary elections, confirming Pashinyan's candidacy, and adopting the party's election program. Georgia's dependence on electricity imports is rising, reaching as high as 42% during peak month, according to country's prime minister. Irakli Kobakidze said overall reliance stands at 29% when electricity and related gas are combined, warning imports are increasing. He added that better use of hydropower could make Georgia fully energy independent, while exports could grow sevenfold. The prime minister noted the country currently loses around $191 million annually on energy imports, calling the sector a key economic priority. Landmines continue to pose a serious threat in Azerbaijan, endangering lives and slowing post-conflict recovery. Since 2020, hundreds of civilians have been killed or injured, highlighting the urgent need for ongoing demining efforts. Innovative technologies, including robotic solutions, are helping the country lead the example in mine clearance and humanitarian safety.
Landmines are silent traps hidden beneath the ground, widely used in conflicts due to their low cost, ease of deployment and long-lasting impact. To raise awareness of the dangers they pose, the International Day for Mine Awareness and Assistance in Mine Action is observed annually on April 4th. The day highlights ongoing mine clearance efforts, support for victims and the importance of global cooperation. The threat posed by landmines is severe and ongoing, with over 100 million people worldwide at risk. The United Nations Mine Action Service, UNMAS, has spent more than 20 years supporting communities affected by explosive hazards, ensuring the safety of civilians, peacekeepers and humanitarian workers. Its work includes mine clearance, risk education and assistance for affected populations. Every year, thousands of people fall victim to landmines. According to the UN, one person is killed or injured by a mine every hour, with children being particularly vulnerable. Mines continue to pose a danger to civilians long after conflicts have ended. Globally, the legacy of wars and conflicts remains visible in many countries. International monitoring reports indicate that over 50 countries and territories are affected by mine contamination. In 2023, more than 5,000 people were killed or injured by mines and unexploded ordnance, an increase of 22% compared to 2022. Approximately 37% of the victims were children. Countries such as Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Yemen and Ukraine continue to face widespread contamination, significantly impacting human life and post-conflict recovery efforts. Azerbaijan is also among the countries affected by mine hazards. Landmines left over from the occupation period continue to pose serious risks to human life and economic activity. In the post-conflict period, these areas remain a major obstacle to safe return for displaced populations. Since 2020, 421 people in Azerbaijan have been affected by mine explosions, including 72 fatalities and 349 serious injuries. According to Presidential Assistant Hikmat Hajiev, that for over 30 years, about 12% of Azerbaijan's land was contaminated with more than 1.5 million landmines. Mine contamination continues to hinder reconstruction efforts in Karabakh and East Zangezur and complicates the return of former internally displaced persons. Overall, since 1991, 3,400 people in Azerbaijan have fallen victim to landmines, including 362 children and young people and 38 women. Mine clearance operations in Azerbaijan are continuing at an intensive pace. So far, over 69,000 hectares of land have been made safe and cleared. At the same time, more than 52,000 unexploded ordnance have been discovered and neutralized. Azerbaijan has set an example in mine action by applying technological approaches. Robotic technologies not only protect human life but also speed up post-conflict reconstruction and contribute to international cooperation. Despite global progress in mine action, challenges such as limited resources, lack of political will, and technical difficulties remain. The continued presence of landmines in more than 50 countries highlights the need for long-term international collaboration and sustained investment.
Catholics gathered in Baku to celebrate Easter Sunday, marking the resurrection of Jesus Christ with prayers, hymns, and traditional rituals. The celebration focused on themes of renewal and hope, with customs such as the blessing of Easter bread and decorated eggs, symbols of new life.
Baku is filled with light and songs as Azerbaijan's Catholic community gathers to celebrate Easter Sunday. Joining millions around the world, worshippers mark the resurrection of Jesus Christ with prayers, hymns, and long-standing traditions.
It's very nice. Typically in this Easter time, we do have someone down to somewhere to visit the place and to do the prayers from outside. Typically on this special day of Sunday, which all the Christian Catholic Church and everyone is here to do the prayers.
The service centers on themes of renewal and hope, highlighted by the traditional blessing of decorated eggs and Easter bread. Families come together for festive meals, while symbolic customs such as egg decoration reflect the message of new life and rebirth at the heart of the celebration.
It's where family also come together. People, maybe sometimes not always your family will be together, but during the special occasion we have all of us together. We spend this day together, and it's everything about Easter is amazing to me.
We came for the Mass, and now at home we are going to celebrate with the family with a special lunch with our good food, and so also in Portugal we celebrate with a beautiful lamb. So it's also a famous dish in Azerbaijan. So it's something that matches with the country. So we are very happy to celebrate this.
In Azerbaijan, Christians make up over 3% of the population, representing a variety of denominations that celebrate their religious traditions openly. Within this diverse landscape, the Catholic community's Easter observance reflects a spirit of faith, unity, and the country's long-standing tradition of religious harmony.
This concludes our news update for the hour. Thank you for your time and stay with us.